Okay, so again, the idea of this video is to drill you in adding and subtracting positive negative numbers. And so again, assuming you have had some exposure to this, and we are going to do all of this without a calculator. So put the calculators away before you watch this video. If you have a calculator out, stop the video now, put the calculator away, and then restart the video. So the idea is this: we do five calculations slowly, then we'll do 5 more calculations a little more quickly, and then at the end I'll ask you to go through 5 calculations on your own very quickly, and we'll see how you do. So 3, subtract 7. When you subtract a number that is larger, you're going to end up with a negative answer, right? The difference between the two numbers is 4, but you subtracted a larger number. Now in the second one, I've got a negative number, and then I'm subtracting. So if I start out with a negative and I subtract, I don't have any choice but to have a negative answer, right? And the idea here is that it's a lot like adding, right? 3 and 7, but both in the negative direction, right? So negative 3, and then go 7 more in the negative direction, so that's negative 10. Again, I'm not doing a detailed explanation of that calculation, assuming you have had some exposure to it previously. But if you start negative and you subtract, got to end up with a negative answer. Right, when one is positive and the other one's negative, we end up with 4, which is the difference between the two numbers, and it's negative. This type of thing shows up all the time. We've got to be comfortable with this. When you subtract a negative, the way I like to think about this is the two negatives kind of cancel each other out, turn into a positive. So subtracting a negative is the same as, rewrite that 2, this is the same as addition. You subtract a negative, it's the same as addition. So that ends up being 7. And we see that same thing here. Here's the opposite of a negative, which would be positive. So that's really kind of a very easy problem in disguise. The opposite of a negative is positive. 2 minus 1 is 1. And then if you watched the first drill video, we did things like this. This is the same as 1 minus 7. So we subtract the larger number, which gives us negative 6. The difference between the two numbers is 6. Subtract the larger number, end up with a negative. Right, so from the first video, we're adding in a couple of things, taking a negative and subtracting, and then subtracting a negative. Another way to think about this one, I know sometimes it's explained this way. I don't know, I think this is more confusing, but this is the same as negative 3 plus negative 7. Maybe thinking of it that way helps us to understand where the 10 comes from. Right? 3 plus 7 is 10, but they're both negative. I don't know if that helps or not. Okay, so let's go through 5 more. We'll go a little bit more quickly. And then at the end, have you do 5 on your own and see how you do. So, negative 1, subtract 6. Got to be negative 7, right? 1 and 6 add up to 7, but you're taking a negative and subtracting, so the answer has to be negative. This is just addition in disguise. So again, that's an easy problem in disguise. 0 plus 3. 7. Subtract a larger number. The difference between the two is 3, and it's negative. of this one as addition. The double negative becomes addition. So that's really just 6 minus 4 in disguise, which is 2. You wouldn't have to write all this. As long as you can figure out that's 2, doesn't matter too much what you write. And again, I don't know if it helps to rewrite this way, but this is the same as 1 minus 10, right, which is negative 9. In fact, you probably don't want to have to spend the time to rewrite this way. You want to understand that that's negative 9. Okay, so here we're going to go through. I want you to try 5 really quick on your own. Just going to give you a couple of seconds per problem. So have a piece of paper or something you can write on and try these next 5 on your own, and then we'll at the end go back and we'll see how you did. So here we go. We're going to start in 3, 2, 1. Write down the answer quickly. Answer next. Write down the answer. Do it quick. Write down the answer quickly. On to the next one. Write it down, and we're done. Right, so that was very quick. I know, but that's how proficient you need to be at these types of calculations. Have to be to the point where you really don't have to think about it. Right? If you're going to go on and be successful in your math classes. Okay, so right, a negative, subtract a number. Right, 9 and 3 is 12. The answer's got to be negative. Right, so in disguise, this is 6 minus 1, which is 5. There's another double negative. So the double negative turns into addition. So hopefully we're getting the hang of this. Negative 7 plus 4 is negative 3. Again, a double negative, right? So the double negative turns positive. So that's negative 1. And then, yeah, I mean, if there's 0 there, that kind of means there's nothing there, right? Which would leave you with just negative 20. So again, if you didn't get all of those correct, you're not proficient enough. Keep practicing, keep thinking, and don't use that calculator